The critical region. In the previous section, we looked at the formulation of hypotheses. For example, suppose we know that the germination rate of a particular seed is 60%. We are trying a new process, maybe some fertilizer or something, and want to see if the germination rate is still 60% under the new conditions. The null hypothesis is always the situation of no change. So the null hypothesis would be that p is equal to 0.6. The alternative hypothesis may take different forms depending on what we suspect. If we suspect that it may just have changed, the alternative hypothesis would be that p is just not 0.6. That leads to a two-tailed test where we have a critical region at either end. If we suspect the germination rate has increased, then the alternative hypothesis may be that p is more than 0.6. And if we suspect the germination rate has decreased, then the alternative hypothesis would be that p is less than 0.6. We also looked at the concept of the critical and acceptance regions, which is how we decide to accept or reject the null hypothesis. Suppose we're testing at the 5% level. The probability of being above this value, so we're looking here at a one-tailed test at the top end, so our alternative here would be greater than. So if we're given the parameter in the null hypothesis, the probability of being above this value is 5%. Therefore, the probability of being below this value given the parameter in the null hypothesis is 95%. So here is the critical region. And over here would be the acceptance region where we accept the null hypothesis. If we calculate a value of a test statistic, and it is here, then we would reject the null hypothesis. If we calculate and the value is here, then we would accept the null hypothesis. So it's quite straightforward. You accept if it's in the acceptance region, and you reject if it's in the critical region. In the previous section, we were told what the critical region is for a particular problem. The difference is, in this section, we're going to be using a binomial model and will therefore be able to define the critical region ourselves.